Unchurned is presented by UpdateAI.
Right? It's like one thing to really like be in your CS zone, but this is sort of like the everyone does CS, right? I think the CS leader should take it upon themselves to put a CS lens at their peers, right? So think about being more customer first for how your marketing team is handling things, how your sales team, how your product team. So if they're not already doing that, I would implore them to do that and take a sort of like team first approach here. Because I think that is exactly what sets you up for that next opportunity. Look, what do you think about customer success? So they didn't have a CS team at the time. And I was like, why don't you have a CS team? Do you not value customer
Great question.
What do you think
question.
is success?
So you asked them a bunch of questions. They told you the right things at the time. Right. After this was all done, did they deliver on everything they said they would?
Happy Monday.
Oh, you're starting us off. Oh, okay. New year, new you, new MC.
Welcome.
Back. Josh, did you get your new microphone?
I did.
Josh,
how do I sound? Do I sound buttery?
You sound great, but I can't see it. I wish you looked more official, like put it in the shot.
There we go.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, I know. John, over to you.
No.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unchurned podcast, CS and BS with the crew. We are calling in. It's the new year, 2024. We're happy to be here. I am John Johnson, Principal Customer Success Manager at User Testing. I'd love to introduce the rest of my guest hosts. Who's next? Kristi, who are you?
That's tough. By the way, John, is it? See, now you understand, isn't it?
I was going to say
deep
something,
breath,
and now I'm not.
No, well, because we're digital, like there's no like body language to be like, you go. I'm like,
see, now you understand. When I start off the show, that's the hardest part of the show is like who's going to go next, because I don't want to sit there and say everybody's names. But then it's like there's no round robin. Who you don't know the order. I mean, we should always
goes by.
I mean, doesn't it usually go John, me, Mickey, Josh?
That's been my experience. But I also love that we're 8 days into the year and we still haven't introduced our guest.
It's been 8 days.
Who is this? We have somebody else with us in the room.
Wait,
so let's
and now you're just skipping the Kristi.
Yeah, we know who Mickey and Josh
is. No. Hold on. John, you have to do it the right way. Stop.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go, and then Mickey's going to go, and then Josh's going to go.
And Kristi's excited about this. Kristi, do you have a new does Kristi have a new spiel?
Yes, she does.
I think somebody practiced a spiel over the holidays.
I don't have a new spiel. My spiel is literally the same. Hi, guys. I'm Kristi Falteruso, Chief Customer Officer at Client Success. I've been in the customer success industry for the past 12 years, building, scaling, and transforming customer success. I am thrilled to be your co-host here on CS and BS.
Oh, my gosh. It's just full of saccharine.
It's just so good.
And sass. I love it.
It's just so good.
All right, and Mickey's going to come really far below. Who are you, Mickey?
Oh, yeah. My name is Mickey Powell. I'm the head of go-to-market at UpdateAI. Spent the last 10 years holding way too many positions in customer success and operations. Excited to be here with the crew and our amazing guest. And looking forward to a great conversation.
Until we get...
You didn't say anything about AI, though, Mickey. That feels weird and off-brand.
Weird and off-brand.
He is a living embodiment
I
of
try
MLM.
I try to just keep it, I try to tone it down, because if not, then I'm just going to go too far, and it's too much.
Then he hears from me after the episode.
I always do.
Who is me?
Who are you?
Yeah, who is me?
With a new microphone.
Yeah, Josh.
I'm Josh Schachter, founder and CEO of UpdateAI, the least knowledgeable about
the reason that we're all here. I'll be honest. I give you a lot of shit, but the reason that we're all here is because Josh decided to get this group together, and it's been a wonderful almost year. I'm just excited.
It's one of those things he regrets a little bit every time we get back on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Only when it takes us to 4 minutes to get to our guest's name. Do I regret
but this has kind of been the theme. Are you going to introduce our guest?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce everybody to.
Are you sure you want to do that?
I know your first name, to Ejieme.
All right, we can work with that.
Eromosele.
Okay, yeah, that's workable.
What are we giving him? Does he get a B? Like, is that a B?
C+.
Well, this is a We do. So factoring that in, I think he would get like a B minus.
Ooh, a B minus.
I'm gonna give you a
Okay,
B,
okay.
but like on the lower end.
Yeah.
She's being
Just
kind
because of
with
the conversation that we had before we started recording.
This is true.
That's why I wrote it down.
That's why I got the minus.
I wrote it down. I made sure to write it down like phonetically. Ejieme.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, there you go. You should let me.
Ejieme, how do you pronounce your last name?
Eromosele.
Oh, I was totally off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's more phonetic than my first name.
And what's your middle name?
Which one? I've got several.
What's your full name? What's your full name?
My full name is Ejieme Eromosele, but I'm Nigerian, so usually the father's family gives a few names, the mom's family gives a few names, so I have like 3 or 4 middle names. Yeah, but I'll go with an easy one. My least favorite, but it's English, is Beatrice. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good name.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a
Why
strong
least favorite?
woman. It's just like an old woman name, kind of. Like,
It's like Gertrude. I get
Yeah,
it.
it's like a
Exactly.
20s. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like. Yeah, I get it. Drink some champagne and listen to some jazz.
Exactly. I mean, I like that.
Ejieme,
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that what Beatrice is doing? Because I want to hang out with her.
Maybe it fits. It's suiting.
Yeah.
Ejieme is
Hello.
the general manager of EMEA of Quiq.
Quick.
And you're going to
Quiq. God, straight to
I
you,
just,
man.
you know what?
Josh,
I
you're
didn't
done.
take my phonetics lessons this morning. Quiq.
With a Q.
Oh, man. And then she's the founder of Success in BLAC.
No. Okay, that was on purpose.
I mean, obviously, John.
I got it.
She's the founder of Success in Black. And we want to learn about both of those organizations, about your career growing into both of those.
Well, I also think this is one of the first guests that we've had that we've all like met, right?
Nope.
Like in person.
Nope.
I hope that this is Josh's first time after he butchered the name. So,
No, I mean, at Pulse.
I was at
she
Paul's.
was
Did
at
you
Pulse
let me
this
too?
year. Were you at Pulse this year?
I was there.
Yeah, she was on stage. I
Yeah.
cheered her on. She got won an award.
Oh, I didn't
don't
get.
go.
Wait, at Pulse or at the awards?
But I was on stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
okay.
was
Well, I
like-
didn't get to go to the sessions.
yeah,
I remember
I
I
went to
didn't
the
have a
sessions.
legit.
Josh
I
got
wasn't-
kicked out.
I wasn't
Christine
legitimized.
allowed.
Yeah.
You guys are
Christy
hitting
sneaks
on
in. I get kicked
I
out.
got arrested
Nikki
for
works the
B&E.
room.
No, but I remember it was one of my favorite sessions that I sat through was you speaking. It was one of the last days, wasn't it? At the end of the session.
Yeah, it was like the closing keynote. They've got like
Yeah.
30 people round robin. Yeah, it was.
That's
Oh, I
amazing.
love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
I do have to say though, if you're attending sessions at Pulse, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I
You sit in
only
the lobby.
attend the session.
She goes, I only attend the sessions I'm speaking at.
Well, I was flying in from London, so I live in London now. So it was like last minute, and I wasn't even gonna go because I'm like, this is a 12-hour flight, and I can only do like one day, and it's like insane time difference. But whatever, I like showed up, and it was great. But I then like turned right back around and flew back out. So I was in
Wow.
like,
Ejieme,
That's a
I want
lot.
to talk about your career in customer success, but I actually want to jump because I think it's a really interesting angle. As part of who you are, what you do is your founding of Success in Black.
yeah.
Can you tell everybody that may not be as familiar with that organization, with the group, what you guys do?
Sure.
And then I want to kind of get into like, how you do it and the mission and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So Success in Black is a platform to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in customer success. The first, I think, opportunity that we're tackling is helping folks that look like me, so Black professionals, do 3 things. So find out about these roles and opportunities, because I do think it's a great gateway drug into tech. So make them aware that these opportunities exist, give them resources to land their first roles. And then for those ICs in these roles, giving them the resources to, of course, advance. And then for more senior leaders, giving us a platform to kind of, amplify our voices and then also give back to more junior talent. So I founded it in the summer of what I like to call Black Lives Matter. So that was summer of 2020. There's a lot going on that summer, if y'all remember back, but it was when, George Floyd is murdered. And, there's a lot of just like corporate activism about like, how to help the different dimensions of, Black talent in different kind of functions and different areas of work. And so, people were reaching out to me like, how do I help Black people in customer success? And there really wasn't a platform to advance that. So I created it. And now we're a little over 450 members strong,
Wow.
even more allies and advocates that, support our mission. And yeah, it's a great, great community.
Yeah. So what's the setup of it? You said allies, members, allies,
Yeah.
advocates.
So our members, we show up in Slack. So we got a Slack kind of community where is, how Slack works. There's different channels for different topics. We've also sort of grouped folks at the different stages they are in their customer success journey. So we have a specific channel for leaders. We have one for those transitioning into CS so they can get more focused help and resources. But we also have a broad network of partners, sponsors, allies that give us their time, their energy, their resources, their advocacy to help people land jobs and get promoted and get paid more.
What are some of the
Hell
top
yeah.
discussions that have come up in those forums in recent months or, since you've started?
So, I think it's a professional, but also like a place to show up personally. So we've got things like, holiday memes in one channel to, very serious topics like how to navigate the conference circuit when people might be, behaving not so professionally. So it kind of crosses the spectrum. We obviously get a lot of folks that are looking to transition into CS and, looking for how to tweak their stories and their resumes and the transferable skills to land that first role. We've been getting a lot of asks from our leaders in terms of what's next for them, especially as the world of CS is changing and, they're being asked to take on more traditional revenue and sales roles. So, how can they start to learn sales chops as their scope of work is expanding? So it really runs the gamut. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it's
That's really fantastic.
to be able to do that work.
I love that. I have a question, a follow up on that actually. I know we're working on a collab with you at CS Insider. So
Right.
I'm just so thrilled that we're actually getting some traction around some of those conversations.
Yeah.
You guys have a similar, I think the idea of breaking into CS was a big topic, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's like every teacher on LinkedIn was like, oh my gosh,
I want to be
I
a
need
customer
health
success
insurance and double the salary, please. Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what we're having some of these internal conversations about folks that we brought into the industry and they're like hitting their first year. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that feedback cycle of like, oh my God, I'm totally prepared for it or I'm totally unprepared for it. Like, I'd love to hear what the conversations are, mostly the follow-up, like how we talk about supportive communities and it's more than just, hey, here's a job, see you later. What's been the feedback of folks from your community that broke into CS, maybe their first time coming out of other groups? You called it a gateway drug into tech, which I love. Just get a taste and then maybe kind of find your path. I really love that model, right? I'd love to hear a little bit about how your community is kind of finding their way in tech out of where they came from before.
I think everyone's experience is very varied just based on how varied customer success looks at different types of organizations, right? So, one member comes in mind and she's like, it is my dream in life to be a customer success manager. This is the only thing I want to do. And we're like, okay, great. And she got her first role and then she's like, oh, now I want to be an implementation manager. And now she is, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Totally fine, right? But, I think that people have an idea of what they see. And I think we're all probably to blame in a good way of really glamorizing and proselytizing customer success in terms of like this amazing career. And it is, but it may not be for everyone. And you get in the role and it's, the maturity of the organization, the maturity of the CS team, the product, the customers you're selling to, like there's many different dimensions that can make your experience look very different from someone else's. So we are getting a little bit of the, oh, it's not exactly what I thought it would be, which I think is fine and normal. But we're also getting a lot of folks that are like, I love this, but the role has changed in a year and it's now becoming more of a sales job. And I still love it, but now I need to like learn this new set of skills and almost transition into this new role, if you will, right? So yeah, we've been getting just in general a lot of good feedback. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the hope is that the community can be a support network and kind of like a safety net for people to go and ask questions if they're not feeling it, or ask for more help as they're kind of really like getting their feet into their roles.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do we help?
How do you help? So Success in Black, the membership is free. I'm keeping it that way up until I maybe can't afford to keep it that way anymore. Yeah. So the way that our allies and advocates help is by, giving us their platform, telling others that we exist. This year, though, I think we're really focused also on getting funding to keep our lights on. So, for example, we want to move off of the free Slack license so that we can keep all of our history beyond 90 days in Slack, because there's a lot of goodness in there that we want to make sure everyone has access to. Now that we have 450 members and we're very active, our Slack license is very expensive. So I'd love to be able to support that and pay for that. Shout out to
history is important.
Slack. If y'all are listening, hit me up. We should talk. But yeah, just in general, I think, being able to, help us pay for kind of like the tools and the tech to keep the lights on. This year, we're doing a big push on in person. So, we had a great meetup at Pulse, and it just felt so, I don't know, soul affirming to see people IRL and to, get to kind of, be in person together. So we're sponsoring a few in-person meetups in places like London and New York and San Francisco and Atlanta and Houston.
When is yours in New York? I want to hear more about the New York one.
So we don't have a date yet for New York, but I would like to be there. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm like, I got to be at the New York one, right? So that's probably going to be in the back half of the year. But yeah, more to come on that.
Let me know. Let's coordinate on that.
Okay.
I would love to coordinate.
So we're looking for sponsors and collaborators, all of our in-person stuff. So yeah, really like get funding to help keep the lights on, kind of the tools and resources, give us your platform to help advocate and partner with us on getting some of those in-person meetups. How
does somebody join the network?
Yeah, so you can go to successinblack.co and there is a member application form. So fill out some details and then we'll be in touch on your acceptance.
Love that. Yeah, we'll add that to the show notes as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
For folks that listen. I love that.
Great.
And yeah, keep us posted on the events too.
Yeah.
I love that people are getting in person. I got to hang out with Amber before your meetup.
Okay. Which one? The DC one?
Was it Pulse? Amber Monroe in San Francisco.
She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
We were also met in DC. So we also had dinner in DC. So she literally is everywhere. And I love she's kind of like my in.
Yeah. And she's helping with the collab too. There are two big events we did last year where a bunch of folks met up. So obviously Pulse in San Francisco, but then also Churn Zero. Shout out to them. Sorry. Yeah. They
were moving us over. I want to hear about Quiq. John, you got to stop.
Don't you love how Josh protects me? It's okay.
No.
No.
I am protecting the listeners of this show. As lovely as I'm sure your peer and friend is, nobody gives a shit that she met with John. So let's go. We want to hear about Ejieme's background and the amazing things that you've done and how you went from leading CS to being a general manager and why Quiq is misspelled and all these other cool topics. So,
brand probably.
All right. So you are the general manager of EMEA. What is EMEA? Europe, Middle East, Asia? Is that it? I always forget that. Africa?
Europe, Middle East, and Africa, where I'm from.
Perfect. And so you're the general manager of that giant part of the world, and you went from being the VP of CS into that role. So I want to pin that part of the conversation to learn about that growth, because this podcast is being listened to by people who want to grow in, even beyond CS and follow those footsteps. Why don't you first start by just introducing Quiq to us, because on your website it's a lot of AI, it's a lot of CX, so I think it's relevant to our listeners.
Yeah. So Quiq is a conversational customer experience platform We believe that the world is best served by humans talking to humans, but that sometimes AI can help us do that more efficiently and effectively. So we're a platform for customer service and customer experience professionals who want to speak to their customers. So we're truly a B2B2C platform, and we connect them on messaging channels. So think about WhatsApp, that's big in the rest of the world, but things like Apple Business Chat or even SMS or Instagram DMs. And then we add a layer of automation to handle sort of the simple tier 1 tasks as well. So we've got amazing customers across the world. We really focus on enterprise customers. So here in EMEA, I'm proud to have, brands like Nespresso and Volvo as some of our customers as well.
So I'm part of this like dental membership club in New York called Wally. And they sent me this whitening kit, tooth whitening kit. And all they did, they sent me like a padded envelope with a syringe and a dental tray. And I'm like, well, how do I actually do this? So I texted this Wally number. How do I actually whiten my teeth? What you just sent me. And then the next day they sent me a text message back with instructions and stuff like that. And so that could have been through Quiq.
That's basically exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yep, that's one example. Yeah.
And so you're less for customer success, so to speak. It's more for the B2B to C end of things, right? To the end consumer function. Okay, that makes sense.
Would you consider Meta's WhatsApp business unit a competitor?
No, we are WhatsApp customer, so we build on top of that channel. So for a lot of big brands to be able to maintain and manage a support channel like WhatsApp actually takes quite a bit of infrastructure, plugging it back to all the other internal systems, maybe connecting to other channels, right? So we kind of come in as that like sticky layer in between that simplifies that. So a lot of our customers use us for WhatsApp because they don't want to have to manage additional channels for service.
That makes sense.
And how are you guys leveraging the latest AI? You've got AI accounted. You've got it 536 times on your homepage.
I love it. Wait, you're
how's it
joking.
Integrated?
Did you really? Did you go count them all, John?
No, it's not that many. We don't even have that many words on there, probably. So I mean, we were doing this AI stuff before, ChatGPT kind of blew up the world with what they're doing. But the way that we're incorporating, let me say, this next generation of AI is that we're now able to do a lot more effectively and more efficiently. So in my region in particular, multi-language support is very important for large multinational companies. To be able to provide support 24/7 in dozens of languages is pretty challenging. With this next generation of AI, we're able to do that a lot faster and simpler. So we're incorporating that both from an end customer perspective and also from an internal agent. So customer service agents use our platform. We're able to, suggest the next best thing that's faster, kind of read what the customer is saying and just offer the agent assistance so that they can help kind of resolve your question faster and more effectively.
Awesome. I want to talk about your career in customer success. I think Kristi is best positioned.
Yeah, and I want to know, and I will let Kristi lead, but I want to know how and why you're such a badass. So, Kristi, badass to badass, take us away.
There you go. Let's do it. Let's get the women talking.
We would get our own show. I won't try to poach you for another podcast, but
what would that show be called, Kristi?
Ooh.
Ejieme, I just launched a podcast. It's going to be going live in February called She's So Sweet. But sweet is spelled SUITE, as in C-suite, interviewing just C-level women and amplifying their voices and their journeys and hearing their stories and offering advice to other women who have aspirations of eventually growing their careers. So consider this your formal invite to come and join me, but I will send you an email separately. But all things aside, can I start at the beginning before CS? I'm actually more interested in the consulting journey, because you started off in consulting, right? You were at Accenture?
I was at Accenture and then PwC. Yep.
Can we start there? Because Josh, you were in consulting too, and
past consultants don't want to talk about consulting.
No, I don't want to talk about your thing, but I do think that the foundational knowledge, work, and experience you get from being consulting does really do something for your career trajectory, especially in tech and in customer success. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that journey.
It makes you anal and structured.
which are good things considering the work that we have to do.
I mean, you don't need business school, but you know, now that I'm many years removed from my consulting time and the trauma has sort of like worn off.
Well, what was the cumulative years? What was it? It was like 5-6 years, 5-6 years?
That was almost 10 years. I did 4.5 years at Accenture.
Oh, because it's right. Okay.
And yeah, another 4.5, almost 5 years at PwC. So now that that's been many years behind me, I'm very appreciative of the training ground that was consulting, right? And I think that, it gives you, I think you said it, Josh, like a structured way to kind of like think about problems. And especially for the roles that I've taken since then, I was managing director of customer experience for the New York Times, brand new role, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I could very quickly structure the ambiguous into something that was tangible and valuable. Same with working in early stage startups, right? Like my first role in CS was VP of CS. We were transitioning from being an agency and doing kind of bespoke, Facebook activations to a SaaS model. And so I had to come in again and be like, what the hell are we doing? And not doing these things in a more structured way. So, I thank God for the consulting experience because like my mind can kind of operate in the Legos just all over the floor, but very quickly I'm trying to kind of like put them together. And I think that's a great skill.
I love Legos.
Right, so then we could talk about your love for Legos another time, Mickey. Okay, so then you step into this role. You're kind of outside of that. You go into this managing director of customer experience at New York Times. What does that even mean? I think we are in tech. So like, what does customer experience at New York Times look like?
It was my job to figure it out, actually. So it's 2015. The New York Times had this like premier strategy document called Our Path Forward. And it was like, look, the New York Times is no longer going to exist as a business unless we figure out how to make money from all these millions of people that read our journalism. So their business model prior to that was primarily driven by advertising revenue, right? So large advertisers would, oh my gosh, buy an ad in the paper. That obviously moved to online. But then, of course, the Googles and the Facebooks of the world started to dominate online advertising. And why would I spend money with a singular domain like the New York Times when I could get broad reach on a Google ad network, right? So they were hemorrhaging. So they were like, okay, our path forward is we need subscribers. We need individuals to pay for the New York Times. And so they came up with a set of like 8 to 10 roles. This role was one of them. And they were like, we need to figure out what a subscriber experience means. Like, who are our actual customers and how do we serve them across marketing, product, and the newsroom? So that was essentially my job to be like, what is a subscriber experience? How can we measure the value of a subscriber? Because again, back then, an individual subscriber pays like $15 a month, right? Like, and advertisers paying millions of dollars, right? So it's like, how do we scale the subscriber opportunity and put in kind of the muscle, the process, the operating model around it? So yeah, I came in and I helped them do that. It was fun.
What was the big takeaway from that role?
The big takeaway was I like the subscription business. and I'm just passionate about, the Times mission as the higher order mission was, educating citizens of the world, right? And informing citizens of the world. And like, that still always resonates with me. I'm still very passionate about that. But I also learned that I wanted to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And so that sort of made me start to look at tech and made me start to look at startups.
Okay, so then that brought you to Snaps, right? You went to the VP of Customer Success role there. And so you went there not having any customer success experience and stepped into a VP role day one.
Yeah.
So no one's fancier than you. How did you do that? I did not have that same experience.
Yeah, well, I think the difference, or not the difference, I really played up my consulting experience, right? So consulting is like customer success, except you don't have a tech platform to be able to kind of honestly anchor against, right? So thinking about desired outcomes, like that's all we focused on, right? Was the so what and the now what. So I think it was very easy for me to kind of like thread that needle to this is what I could help the organization do. I also spent a lot of time in my consulting experience working with customer service leaders, which is what the platform focused on, right? So I kind of knew the buyer, I knew their challenges, I knew how to drive value and how to kind of talk about driving value. So I think that also contributed. And my CEO believed in me, I guess.
Tell us a little bit about how you built out that program, the CS, program within Snaps, and then it was acquired, right, by Quiq.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you went over Quiq, and then I want to learn about your transition from CS over to being the managing director.
Yeah. So building out the CS team at Snaps was really about just, first understanding what value meant in the product that we were delivering, right? So I spent a lot of time like understanding like what is a product, what problems are we trying to solve, the customers that we do have, who are seeing success and why. And then really started to organize the team around the activities that I believed would lead to better outcomes, right? So, we were super small, CSMs were doing all of the jobs and wearing multiple hats.
How many CSMs?
Carve out. So we had 2 directors, 4 CSMs. So 6 on the CSM team across New York and LA. And so first step was to, start to form a little bit of specialization. So, we were building bots on Facebook back when these were the early stage kind of like Facebook Messenger bots, right? And CSMs were conversational designers, solutions architects, CSMs, project managers, right? They wore all the hats. So the first step was to sort of start to carve out like, okay, we need a more specialized like bot designer.
So they were helping to design the product is what you're saying in many ways.
Well, the product was a SaaS platform, but because we're B2B2C, the product was also a customer-facing bot. So yes, they were helping to design that kind of end user experience as well. So yeah, kind of, starting looking at specialization, started to then say, okay, where's the higher leverage activity that we could be doing? And it was really in kind of this like consultative guidance of here's how your bots are performing and why, here's how we can improve them, right? Like that's where the value was, right? People were spending millions of dollars on these bots. They didn't know how they were performing. They didn't know how to make them better. So that's where we focus the CSM's time because
so educating them on the ROI, educating your customers on the ROI of what they're paying for.
What's happening, why it's happening, how they can make it better.
So tell us about that. I think that's great. What did you guys do? What was the framework you set up?
Yeah.
You're a consulting person. What's the framework that you set up to accomplish that?
So the first step was just like, do we know why some bots are better, right? So we, partner with our product team very closely to say, let's run some experiments and see, okay, this is the outcome when we do, let's say, a simple quiz experience where you ask a user 3 to 5 questions and then they have an end result, right? And then we would like analyze drop off and we say, okay, this is why most users would drop off at this step. The optimal quiz length is 3 to 5 as opposed to 7 to 10, right? So we ran several, I think, iterative kind of like sprint-based tests so that we knew what we were talking about and then we could be confident in advising our customers on the best course of action. So I think that was the biggest kind of like unlock is like, we were building the plane and trying to fly it at the same time, but we really needed to take a step backward and help CSMs like really understand like, this is how to drive value. This is what matters. Okay, go talk to your customers about that.
And
that was our big activity.
When you talk to your customers, was this done at scale or was this done more on a one-to-one basis? So are we talking about campaigns?
So we have enterprise customers. So yeah, we're not we've never really been a scaled team. I mean, we had customers like Calvin Klein and Marriott, right? So they demand that one-to-one attention. So we did spend a lot of time with them. Each CSM at that time had about 10 to 15 accounts. Upwards of 2 million in ARR per, right? But yeah, we were focused on enterprise. So we, it wasn't a kind of a scaled approach at that time.
So we have insights of how they're using the product and some best practices of what we can share from how the entire portfolio uses the product. Let's schedule a call with them, with the decision makers and with the users, and share with them their usage compared to best practice. And
I think the difference too is that because their customers were using this product day in and day out, and we have the reverse problem where our customers would be saying, oh, we want to meet again because this thing happened and we want to understand what's going on, right? So it's almost like a reverse pull and push. I see a lot of CSMs talking about my customers don't want to talk to me. And I can understand and I can see a world where that exists. But I think maybe we were lucky or unlucky. I mean, we had the opposite problem where it's like the CSM's time then could totally be sunk on one customer, right? Because they were very demanding. So it's like, working then to put some guardrails in place and some structured touch points and milestones, as opposed to just being kind of like there to support their every need and every call.
Well, I do know a platform to help you save time in your customer success meetings. However, it sounds like a really good product. Well, it's a great product. It sounds like a really good problem to have. It sounds like you were actually delivering value to your customers, and that's why they were lining up to have more meetings with you.
Yeah, they were talking to specialists, right? Like, knowledge experts. So they wanted to tap that.
Can we talk about the acquisition? Josh, I know you had a thought there. Was it more important?
No, never.
I want to talk about the acquisition. And the reason why is I want to know from your perspective how you navigated through that. I hear some of them go really well, some go really poorly. And so what was your experience going through this M&A, leading that team, leading that function, and how did you manage through it?
This is from Snaps to Quiq, right?
Yeah.
What year was this in?
This was 2021.
Okay, so we're still pandemicing.
Yeah. We'll post. I know we're still in it. I mean, the good thing is we had done one or two. They were a partner of ours. We had done one or two deals with them, so we kind of like knew the major players, kind of knew how they worked. But then when it was time to say, okay, like this is actually happening, with most acquisitions, there's like a set of people that are kind of the like key people, right? That it's like, okay, before we actually sign anything, and it's actually part of the diligence of, do we want to acquire this company? You meet with some key executives. So, there were like 4 or 5 of us. I was one of them. So I got to meet with our CEO, now our CEO, and our co-founder, and just, spend some time and say like, talk to me. It was interesting because they were acquiring us, but what I appreciated about the process is they let me quiz them because I said, look, what do you think about customer success? So they didn't have a CS team at the time. And I was like, why don't you have a CS team? Do you not value customer
Great question.
What do you think of success, right? Like if I were to join on, which at that time it wasn't a given that I would join on, I could be like, yeah, give me a package. Like I'm good. If I were to join on and they wanted me to join on, like how would you ensure that I was, successful and I had the resources that I need? Right. So it was a good conversation because they said the right things at the time to make me confident that it would be a good relationship. Aside from that, though, I think, I did spend a lot of time like negotiating my compensation, my equity package, which, I had never done before. And I took the opportunity to really empower myself to take that seriously and to do that. It was a huge decision to move over to this new company for me personally. And so, I hired a woman to help me in that. She's great. I'm going to drop her name because she deserves all the cred. Her email or her website is Stock Options Council. And so she coached me on, how to think about my equity and how to negotiate a better package. So I was very happy at the end of the day because I was able to do that, which, I think a lot of people don't think about as that process.
That's awesome. Good for you. Listen, so you asked them a bunch of questions. They told you the right things at the time. Right. After this was all done, how much of what they told you did you actually experience? Like, where is the truth lie in here? Or did they deliver on everything they said they would?
They were pretty transparent. They're like, look, we tried customer success, but we didn't know what we were doing. They're a bunch of engineers, right? So my CEO is ex-engineers, CTO, right? And they're like, like we believe in it, but like we don't know how to do it. We're engineers. Like, we're like, let's just use the product. And I was like, and the product, we can tell, was built by engineers who are running the company, because it's not that intuitive. Like, you need people to help people learn how to do this. So they were honest and I think self-aware. And so what I ended up in was what they sold me.
Okay. I love that.
Ejieme, how has your past leadership in CS helped you in your role right now as a general manager owning a P&L?
Yeah, great question. So when I ran CS, when I first ran CS at Snaps, we didn't have any commercial ownership. So we weren't even doing our renewals. Over time, I wanted more revenue responsibility. And so I asked for it. And so started by owning renewals, but I didn't want CSM to own renewals. So then I carved out an account management team. So from, I think, a year into my role as VP of CS, I also had account management. So I also was selling, right? We were doing renewals. Then I started to do expansions. Then with the acquisition, actually, one of the ways that my role expanded is I owned all of our renewals and a large majority of our expansions. And so the way that my CS experience helped in this new role is that CS leaders have to be cross-functional anyway and dynamic and work with product and work with marketing and work with sales. Now all of those functions I own, right? So I'm the go-to-market leader. I'm owning marketing, events, demand and lead gen, partnerships, sales, customer success, and account management. And having to, I think, be a good partner as a CS leader and looking across your peers and understanding, okay, let me put myself in the shoes of product for a second, which I think all CS leaders should be doing, really set me up for this role, because I already had a point of view in how marketing could be more customer focused and customer led. Same with sales. So yeah, it really helped, I think, set me up for the right opportunity.
So if you're the head of CS at a company now and you want to make that next step to being a general manager, your talking points are that coming from CS helps you be close to the customer, so understand what the customer wants, and then also have a kind of a wider visibility purview into the point of view of all the other cross functions, because you're
I think that CS leaders should, and if they're not, they should, take a look at what they're, can they see the forest from the trees, right? It's like one thing to really like be in your CS zone, but this is sort of like the everyone does CS, right? I think the CS leader should take it upon themselves to put a CS lens at their peers, right? So think about being more customer first for how your marketing team is handling things, how your sales team, how your product team. So if they're not already doing that, I would implore them to do that and take a sort of like team first approach here, because I think that is exactly what sets you up for that next opportunity. And that next opportunity could be being a CRO. It doesn't necessarily have to be a GM, right? But it's how do you get more cross-functional in terms of your area of ownership and your scope.
What could you think of? Go ahead. Oh, was that here like a little frustration from Kristi? There was like this little micro frustration that came out.
Because I was going to say, I love the idea of leaning into your CS background to help you in this new role, but I don't know. I actually think it was your revenue and your business experience in the consulting that actually set you up better for this. So would you agree or disagree?
I would think it was all of the above. Look, I mean, I think that my consulting experience, for sure, like we talked about at the start, right? Like, I came here with no team, no anything. And it's like, okay, stand up a new business, right? Again, coming into the ambiguous and trying to create something from it. But I do think because I knew our product, I knew our customers, I knew the challenges that they face. And now it's okay, let's put a lens of multiple markets on top of that. I think that also helped me get the role in the first place and kind of gain the trust of my CEO enough to get the role. I don't think that our sales leader could have done it. I don't think that our product leader could have done it. I think that because I was a CS leader and we have to blend head and heart, know the product, but know your customers, really also set me up for that.
Okay,
Kristi,
fine,
all
fair.
over that management consulting.
Because I'm like so jealous of it. Like I'll never do it now because I'm old. But like if I was young, I feel like that experience. I don't want to go. I'm not trying to move backwards. I want to like sleep and eat and spend time with my family. I hear nothing but horrible things about.
I do agree. Actually, you know what?
What?
No, I actually agree. I think that when Ejieme was a consultant, this is your early 20s, right? This is your 20s. You were a consultant, and I do think. Listen, there are more creative, there are more fun, there are more diverse, blah, 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 things you can do in life and your career. But if you want to give yourself...
Join BCG today.
If you want to give yourself like the ultimate, or Accenture, or, if you want to give yourself the ultimate foundation, I do agree. Consulting as much of... is my thing still working here?
I just want to look at this screen. Is someone screenshotting this right now?
Oh, please.
Yeah.
No, but I agree.
Yeah.
It's that foundation that you're going to get in consulting. And I think if you're willing to make that investment early in your career and do that, I think you're going to learn so much. Like, I just feel like that's such a strong foundation for any career path.
I agree.
So I guess that's why I'm a little jealous.
Well, but you've ended up just fine, Kristi.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
All right.
What's been the biggest challenge of becoming a GM coming from customer success as opposed to coming from product management or marketing or sales or other functions?
I think the biggest challenge is not knowing some of what levers to pull for demand and lead gen. Lucky for me in account management, I had gone through like all of our sales training and, I knew all of our sales methodology. But I think my biggest challenge, 2 parts, marketing, because I'm like, y'all are just throwing shit at the wall. Sorry. Can I curse on here?
Yes, you can.
Fuck yeah, you can.
Being 6, and I'm like, that's weird. And then partners. So one of the things is that a lot of even the new business that we close right now in the US is driven by inbounds and partner referrals. Having come here with no infrastructure for anything, we don't have inbounds and partner referrals, right? So now I'm like, how do I get inbounds and partner referrals? And so the marketing piece is just like a black box that I'm still unpicking and trying to learn more about. So I do wish that I had a bit more just experience. Like I'm learning, right? You got to learn fast and try things. But it just seems very nebulous. Yeah. Not a lot of playbook.
Sounds like
is that SaaS is also fast moving, right? Like, 2 years ago, you could like send thousands of emails and like, X percentage would respond, X percentage would talk to you, X percentage would close, right? Like those numbers just like aren't working anymore for anyone, right? So I think it's, yes, I don't know marketing, but also the dynamics in which lead and demand gen are evolving, or like everyone's trying to figure it out. So it's really challenging.
Sounds like you need a CSM who sits in between you and marketing and plays translator towards outcomes.
I guess. We just hired a new marketing leader, so today was her first day, so I'm excited to partner with her. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Ejieme, what's next for you? Right. Obviously not tomorrow, not next week. I don't assume that you're interviewing actively today. Unless you are, tell me separately. I'll help you. But where do you want to grow your career to next, right? Like you're in a great spot here. You've done a lot. What's next for you as you think about your future?
It's a good question. I'm also an angel investor. I get a lot of personal satisfaction from working with very early stage founders who, more like pre-seed, right? So like have an idea, have a little bit of a product to seed, and just helping them think about their customers, even when they barely have any, right? And it's like, well, let's think about that. And, I get asked a lot about, the first CS hire, right? How, product experience should they be versus industry experience? Do they have, more experience, having done customer success before, right? So I get a lot of pleasure and joy out of that. So I might lean into that a little bit more, just like advising early stage founders on thinking customer first and customer led. But aside from that, I mean, my focus right now is to grow this business. I've got a lot of things I still want to accomplish in this role. I think I'm gonna have a ton of learnings that, will hopefully help me in my next thing.
That's awesome. Well, you've had such a tremendous career, and honestly, you're watching your journey is inspiring. And I love that we've had our conversations going since early days of Success in Black, and like you've grown that into a wonderful venture. And I don't know, personally, I'm just kind of like in awe of you and all you've done so far. And I know there's only greatness to come.
Thank you.
I've never heard you so humbled, Kristi, as on this episode.
Because I feel like I had a front row seat to watching her over the past couple of years and all she's done with the Success in Black before she went to London, before she took on that new role. Like, I don't know, we've our conversations go back a bit. So the past couple of years to see that exponentially like grow her to where she is today, I don't know, it's pretty inspiring. I love it.
That's great.
Thank
That's great.
you.
John, you've been so quiet and it's creeping me out. I want to give you the last word to wrap us up here.
Happy New Year, everybody.